Picture this. An American walks into a London pub. He smiles at the bartender, orders his drink, and while he waits, turns to the stranger next to him and says, "Hey man, great spot. What do you do for a living?" He's being friendly. He's making conversation. He's doing exactly what he'd do back home in Chicago or Dallas or anywhere in America. The British man next to him? He's frozen. He gives a tight smile, mumbles something about working in an office, and immediately looks for the nearest exit. The American walks away thinking, friendly guy, bit quiet. The British man walks away thinking, what on earth just happened? Same interaction, two completely opposite experiences, and neither person did anything wrong. Today, we're breaking down 5 completely normal American behaviors that British people find genuinely rude, and more importantly, the psychology behind why both sides react the way they do. To make sense of this, let's follow 2 people. Tyler is 28 from Austin, Texas. He's outgoing, warm, the kind of guy who knows his barista's name, his Uber driver's life story, and will absolutely tell you about both. Sophie is 29 from Surrey, England. She's perfectly friendly, but in the British way. She holds doors, she says sorry when someone else steps on her foot, and she would rather miss her train stop than ask the person blocking the aisle to move. Tyler just got transferred to London for work. He's excited. He loves British culture. He's watched every season of Bake Off, and he's ready to make friends. He has no idea what's about to happen. Let's start with the one that hits first. Number 1. Volume control. Tyler's first Monday in London. He's on the tube heading to work. It's 8:15 in the morning, and the carriage is silent. Not quiet, silent. Like you can hear someone blink silent. People are reading, people are staring at their phones, nobody is looking at each other. The unwritten rule of the London Underground is clear. This is not a social space. This is a moving library. Tyler doesn't know this rule. His phone rings. He picks it up. "Hey, yeah, man, first day. London is awesome." His voice fills the entire carriage. Every head turns. Not with curiosity, with horror. Sophie is 2 seats away. She doesn't say anything, obviously, she's British, but inside she's experiencing something very real. She feels violated. Not physically, but psychologically. And here's why. In the 1960s, Anber's socialist Edward T. Hall developed the theory of proxemics. He identified 4 zones of personal space: intimate, personal, social, and public. What most people don't know is that these zones aren't just physical, they're auditory too. When Tyler's voice fills a quiet train carriage, he's not just being loud. He's acoustically invading the personal space of every single person in that carriage. His voice enters their intimate zone without permission. Research from the University of Surrey found that unwanted noise in enclosed public spaces triggers the same stress response as a physical space invasion: annoyance, discomfort, irritation, even low-level anger. That's not an opinion. That's biology. But here's the twist. Tyler isn't being rude. In American culture, volume signals friendliness, enthusiasm, and engagement. In much of the US, being quiet in public can actually feel cold or unfriendly. Tyler grew up in a culture where containing your energy is how you show people you respect their space. Sophie grew up in a culture where containing your energy is how you show people you respect their space. Neither is wrong, but only one of them is on a silent train. Number 2. So what do you do? Tyler makes it through his first week. He's invited to a colleague's house party on Saturday. Great. He walks in, grabs a drink, spots someone standing alone by the kitchen, and does what any American would do. "Hey, I'm Tyler. So what do you do?" In America, this is the universal conversation starter. It's how you find common ground. It's friendly. It's expected. Not asking someone what they do in America can actually feel dismissive, like you're not interested in them. In Britain, this question is a grenade. Sophie overhears it from across the room and physically winces. Here's the psychology. In the United States, identity is heavily tied to occupation. This traces back to what sociologists call the American individualist achievement model. Your job is your answer to who are you. It's how Americans build social maps. Doctor, lawyer, engineer, entrepreneur. Each one tells Tyler something about this new person. It's efficient.
It's practical. It's not personal. It's just how Americans navigate new audiences. But in Britain, asking what do you do within the first few minutes of meeting someone feels like you're sizing them up. You're placing them on a social ladder. And Britain, with its deeply embedded history of class consciousness, is extremely sensitive to this.
A 2023 survey by Toll-Free Forwarding found that when asked to describe Americans at work, British respondents used words like loud, arrogant, brash, and pushy, while Americans describe themselves as ambitious, competitive, and driven. Same behaviors, completely different labels. Tyler sees himself as friendly and interested. Sophie sees him as invasive and calculating. The British conversation starter is weather. Always weather. Because weather is the great equalizer. It doesn't expose your class, your income, or your education. It's psychologically safe. Number 3, the overshare. Week 3, Tyler is settling in. He's at lunch with colleagues, including Sophie. Someone casually asks how his weekend was. Tyler says, "Oh man, it was rough. My ex texted me and it brought up all this stuff from our breakup, you know? I actually talked to my therapist about it and she said I need to work on my attachment style. Anyway, how was yours?" Dead silence. Sophie is looking at her sandwich like it contains the meaning of life. Everyone else is suddenly very interested in their phones. Tyler just committed what the British consider an unforgivable social act. He shared genuine emotional relations with people who did not ask for that level of information. The psychology here is fascinating. American culture, particularly since the therapy boom of the 1990s and the more recent mental health awareness movement, has normalized emotional openness. Sharing feelings is seen as strength. Vulnerability is rebranded as courage. Brené Brown has 60 million TED Talk views for a reason. In America, if you're not talking about your feelings, something might be wrong with you. British culture operates on almost the exact opposite principle. The stiff upper lip isn't just a stereotype, it's a deeply rooted social contract. Emotional restraint in Britain is coded as maturity, class, and respect for others. When you share your feelings openly in Britain, you're not being brave. You're making everyone else mentally uncomfortable by giving them a problem they didn't sign up for. Psychologist Geert Hofstede's cultural dimensions framework places the U.S. significantly higher on individualism than the U.K., even though both are individualist cultures. This higher American individualism means personal emotional expression is seen as a right. The British version of individualism is more restrained, more communal in its boundaries. Your emotions are your business, and keeping them private is how you protect the group's comfort. Tyler thinks he's building connection through honesty. Sophie thinks he's just detonated a social bomb. Number 4. Hey, buddy. Month 2. Tyler goes to a coffee shop in central London. The barista hands him his flat white. Tyler says, "Thanks so much, buddy." The barista blinks. He's 45 years old. He has a mortgage, 2 children, and opinions on Brexit. He is nobody's buddy. But Tyler doesn't stop there. At work, he calls the receptionist Hun. He calls his team lead Dude. He tells his director, "Great job, man," after a presentation. In America, these are warmth signals. They're designed to flatten hierarchy and create a sense of casual connection. Americans use casual language to say, "I'm not above you. We're equals. We're cool." In Britain, this is the social equivalent of walking into someone's house and putting your feet on their table. Here's the research behind it. Psycholinguistic studies show that terms of address carry enormous social weight. In British English, premature familiarity, using first names too quickly, using casual nicknames with strangers, or using terms of endearment outside of actual close relationships is read as a boundary violation. It signals that you haven't earned the level of closeness you're claiming. This connects to what sociologists call earned intimacy versus assumed intimacy. British social norms operate on earned intimacy. You build closeness gradually through shared experiences, time, and mutual signals. You might work with someone for 6 months before they invite you to use their first name. An American waiter might introduce themselves by name and ask how your day has been. A British waiter would consider that unprofessional.
The underlying psychology? Americans use casual language to reduce power distance. It comes from a culture that mythologizes equality. Britain, shaped by centuries of social hierarchy and class distinctions, uses formality as a form of respect. Calling someone buddy doesn't feel like equality to a Brit. It feels like a stranger assuming a relationship that doesn't exist. Number 5. The smile that means nothing. This is the one that really gets to British people. Tyler is walking to work. He makes eye contact with a stranger on the street and smiles. Not a quick nod, a full, open, teeth-showing, eye-crinkling smile. At a total stranger, at 8 in the morning, in the rain. In America, this is basic human decency. You see someone, you acknowledge them. You smile because it costs nothing and it makes the world a little warmer. In Britain, Sophie sees this and thinks, what does he want? That is not cynicism. That is a genuine cultural response.
Studies on facial expressiveness across cultures show that Americans smile significantly more frequently than British in public settings. But it's not because Americans are happier. Research published in the Journal of Cross-Cultural Psychology found that in countries with greater historical diversity of immigration, like the United States, nonverbal communication, like smiling, became a social tool for bridging language barriers. When you can't rely on shared language or cultural background, a smile becomes the universal handshake. Britain, with a more historically homogeneous population, developed different social signals. Acknowledgement in public is done through restraint, not expression. A slight nod, a brief morning. Making eye contact and smiling at a stranger on a British street can feel intense, even threatening, because it breaks the social contract of polite distance. The result? Americans think British people are cold. British people think Americans are fake. And both are wrong. They're both doing exactly what their culture taught them to do. They're both trying to be polite. They just learned completely different definitions of what polite looks like. So who's right? After 3 months in London, Tyler starts to notice something. He stops being the loudest person in every room. He waits a bit longer before asking personal questions. He learns that not bad actually means quite good, and interesting actually means I completely disagree with you. He doesn't stop being American, but he starts reading the room. And Sophie, she starts to appreciate something too. She notices that Tyler's openness, the thing that made her cringe at first, also means he's the first person to check on a colleague having a bad day. His loudness means he's the one who actually breaks the ice at awkward work events. His "what do you do?" isn't sizing her up, it's an invitation to be seen. Neither culture is right, neither is wrong. They're both answers to the same question. How do you make strangers feel safe enough to coexist? America's answer is warmth. Britain's answer is space. And the psychology says both work, just not in each other's countries. Here's the thing nobody talks about. The behaviors British people find rude in Americans, many younger British people are actually starting to adopt them. The therapy language, the emotional openness, the casual warmth. It's happening through social media, through American TV shows, through TikTok. A 2024 study found that Gen Z Brits are significantly more likely to discuss mental health openly, use casual American-style greetings, and value directness over traditional British understatement. The culture gap isn't closing, but the next generation is starting to build a bridge across it. Tyler and Sophie's grandchildren might not understand this video at all, and honestly, that might be the most hopeful thing about all of this. So, which side of the Atlantic are you on? Drop a comment telling us which of these 5 behaviors you agree with and whether you're Team Tyler or Team Sophie. If you haven't seen our first video breaking down who actually earns more between the US and UK after healthcare and cost of living, it's linked right here. The results are even more dramatic. Subscribe to Across the Pond so you don't miss the next one. See you in the next one.